welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm super excited to have my friend Candy Barone, who she claims she's a badass, but I don't know about that. But she definitely is a heart-centered soul guide and thought leader that is. She loves to be the catalyst to bringing in new perspective in how we define and model and activate leadership. So, welcome, Candy.
Oh, Neil, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. And as I said off screen, we just need to jump right in it so that we can get to it. So, a younger version of Candy, high school, junior high, college, whatever. What do you think you put success as? Or did you think of success when you were a much younger person? Or how would you define the younger version of Candy had for success?
That is a great question. I would say yes, yes, and yes. The younger version of Candy was very caught up in the prescribed definition of success that we sort of put on our kids from an early age. It was all about A plus B equals C. This is the only path. You got to rise above. It's all about how much you can push through, how much you can accomplish, what you can get done, and you better be the one holding the trophy at the end. And so for me, it was all about how big, how hard, how fast, how much, and how many ways could I be number one in the things that I did. That was my metric of success for a really, really long time. So I got caught up in that very cliche, this is what you do, this is what success looks like. And the younger version of me was reeled in hook, line, sinker, and did nothing but focus on that. Honestly, I was so obsessed with success growing up, in an unhealthy, obsessive way, to be honest.
So at some point there was an inkling or a realization that what that version of success was not what you wanted or thought or were open to being. When do you like was this a an instant epiphany struck down by lightning, or was it like a slow painful process that ripped your heart out many times?
Uh, well, being that I'm laughing, you already know the answer. I think whatever higher power, higher consciousness, God, source, Tao, whatever, sometimes looks at me and is like, my dear sweet child, why do you insist on making things so complicated? I have had multiple, what I will call universal 2x4s that have been these big pieces of wood that have come and like just knocked me from the from the side, knocked me over, knocked me sideways. You can also call them rock bottom moments or define. I've had my fair share before I finally woke up and realized this cannot be what life's about. This cannot be what we aspire to do. And I mean, it literally, it wrecked my relationships. It wrecked my health, but I'm a slow learner, or I'm extremely stubborn, however you want to say that. And so I didn't get the message the first hundred times it came at me. It wasn't until probably my mid 30s that it finally hit me hard. And that was a leveling rock bottom moment that I ended up in the hospital. My level of burnout and anxiety and stress was I thought I was having a heart attack. And so it put me out of the game, and I had to reassess what the game was and if I even wanted to play.
Oh, that's one. Well, it's terrible, but it was wonderful because what it sounded like is that you had to finally look at all the pimples and warts and all of the parts that you loved and parts that you didn't like.
100%. There was a lot of self, and there has been, I would say, since that moment happened. And even leaving corporate and moving into the work that I do now, even in the last 5 years, and particularly through the pandemic, there's been a whole new resurface of reevaluating. And I think that's one of the biggest opportunities we have, is to continue to redefine that definition of success as we learn more, as we gain wisdom, as we experience the 2x4s. And I know there's my other people out there that have been knocked around a few times because they got thick skulls like I do.
You know? So as part of the journey of success is what I'm hearing is introspective and retrospective contemplation is part of the success process.
Absolutely. I think, everybody talks about doing the work. You gotta do the work. You gotta heal this. I don't know if it's as much of that as just being able to stop, pause, slow down, whatever it might be, to get still with yourself and just listen. And I think there's a lot of listening we can do. We know the path we're supposed to take. We know the direction, and we've got to be able to take inventory and ownership of the things we're doing externally and the chatter and the internal perspective that's driving the ship. And at some point, the higher version of us needs to take the reins back and say, I need to steer this back due north. And it looks like this. And those are some very hard, courageous conversations I think we have the opportunity to lean into.
But I don't want to do that because I need to watch the next season of Jack Reacher or Tom Clancy. Amazon Prime. I really, really, really need to do that. That's way more important.
Uh-huh. Of course, because it's not the sexy thing, right? It's really easy to cop out. We have a culture. It's why we have such a culture of entitlement and everybody's miserable. First of all, and I'm just going to say this, I think that when we ask, what does success mean? I don't even think that's the right question, because if you look at, I do a lot of work in human design, speaking of that introspective kind of how you're wired, your energetic soul blueprint, 90% of the population's design isn't even about success. It's about fulfillment and peace. And it's about being able to see the health and wellness of, our cultures and our world, that even the projectors who are wired for success is something entirely different. And so we're always asking, what does success look like, when it should be, what does fulfillment feel like? What does joy feel like? What is like that path? And so I think, yes, we have it's not sexy to sit in that work and go, oh, what do I really want? And how do I take ownership when I get there?
But Candy, society tells me that I have to be the best author. I have to be a bestseller. I have to have the 7,000 square foot house with the 8 pools and the 19 French poodles and I just have to do this. Otherwise I won't be successful.
Yeah. And so I'm going to say two things in that. First of all, your big butt's getting in the way, because all I hear is, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. And there's this huge, ginormous butt getting in your way. The second thing is, we just should all over ourselves. And I know some of you, I just said but, and now I'm going to say should. And some of you think in your brain, you're like, did she say should or did she say, yeah, it doesn't matter, because you're burying yourselves in layers of that crap. We have so been programmed and wired to listen to everybody else's nonsense, which, by the way, is their own projection of not wanting to deal with their own stuff. So we push it out there, and we're so concerned about, the side A version of the radio, the tape that's out there, the record, the LP, the top hits, because nothing that you see projected on social media is real. The sensationalized version of, the A track of the record being played, when we're not talking about the songs that didn't even make the cut. And when you take off the filters and the this and the whatever, and you see, and I remember this when I lived in Milwaukee, we would go by these $1 million homes, and then you got closer and there was nothing inside. There's these people that spend all their money for the facade, for this, I don't know if I can say this on here, bullshit version of how we show up and what's expected and what success looks like. And we're miserable. And we're living these poor, broke lives that we're not tapped into anything that's meaningful. And I think, if anything, the last 2 years gave us, 3 years, whatever you want to call it at this point, is a space where people are starting to wake up and go, there has got to be more meaning in my life than getting on a freaking treadmill and running Groundhog's Day over and over and over and over again for what? An arbitrary gold star that looks like somebody else has. My God, if I really ask myself, I don't even want the mansion, because that's too much house to clean. I mean, we're not even like in a space to ask if that's what we want. We're so caught up in the sensationalized of what we think success is. Real success is putting your head on the pillow at night and going, I showed up the best way I can. I created impact and I'm at peace with myself. Good night. Hallelujah. I would guarantee that some of those people that we judge, They're sacrificing their soul for the scroll, and they're sacrificing their soul for lack of sleep, because it's all the sensationalized version of what success is.
Since I forgot to beep out that word. Beep.
Oh, I have no filter. You know that.
All good. So what I'm hearing is at some point everyone has their own version of success, and to truly be successful, each individual needs to look inside of them and uncover what it means to be successful.
100%. And I will tell you, you hit on it right there. Every single person has their own individual definition for success. And I would also say that every single person that I have ever engaged with or talked to anywhere in my life, that definition of success changes as life changes, as maturity changes, as emotional intelligence and changes, as the meaning in your life, you get closer and closer to being connected to you being your purpose and not thinking it's something you got to reach for or seek that's way out there. When you start to realize that you are purpose and you are here with purpose and you are your purpose, your definition of success completely changes from what you allowed yourself to buy into because you sometimes didn't know better, or it just was easier. But the more we grow in this lifetime, the more that definition changes. And I shouldn't even say changes, it evolves and expands in a way that takes like these quantum shifts. What I think about success now versus what I thought about my 20s and 30s aren't even in the same galaxy.
Yeah. The high school Neil was just looking to get lucky. You know, that was
and I know Tina's on, so I hope she's laughing at that. That is hilarious. I love that about Tina.
You know, when you break it down, we're really pursuing some of our base needs.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
That was like,
right? It was instant gratification. How can I win at this? How can I do this? How can I score? How can I? And yes, when we look at our definition now, most people don't even use the word. It's that space of what feels like I'm lit up and fulfilled. What is like meaningful in my life? There is nothing about success. Like I said, they're in two different galaxies. I have no definition of success from 15, 20 years ago that even resides in the space of what, quote, success looks like for me now.
And that's interesting because I purposely chose the title for my book, Chasing Success, because it instantly put so many people on edge.
Yeah.
But yet subconsciously, as you had alluded to, there is so much programming that's going on. You look at Instagram and, well, if you go to Instagram or TikTok, well, on my feed, if I'm not very careful, it's like full of half-naked women and guys telling me, standing in front of a really big car, saying, I can show you how to get to this. And I'm like, is that success? No.
Well, and think about, I mean, there's the other side of there are things that, and so social media in general can be a cesspool. It also can be a really powerful and acting space. It's a matter of what, it's just like life in general. And so I think about that because it can get really easy, one, to get sucked into some of the sensationalized things on social media. It also can get really easy to be completely complaining and negative about the fact that there is a cesspoolness to social media. And there's also the really beautiful, amazing stories on there. And it's a matter of anything we do in our life, what we focus our attention on grows. So what we choose, I was just having this conversation the other day where even my mom and I were talking, she's like, it's just people are so, and I said, or you can look at how many people are doing good in the world and how many people that I always like to say, there's the Care Bears out there. We all have that emblem that we have our unique light. We can put in any space and we can put it over darkness and we can do different things, but it's only when we come together as a family, as a tribe with the right Care Bears that we can activate something that's so much bigger than ourselves. And there is a lot of that going on in the world. And there's a lot of that going on social media. You have, and this is where each of us has to take ownership. You get to, and I love Mel Robbins said this on a podcast the other day, if anything is creating drain or pain, you need to remove it from your life. So is this draining you because all you're doing is comparing yourself, or is this creating unnecessary pain and suffering? If it is, then get it out. Find the things. I've curated my feeds that the only thing I see people like you, Neil, doing this amazing work to have this conversation with people. I see people who are talking about their vulnerabilities and leading from a place that says, I don't claim to have it figured out. I sure as hell don't have it figured out. And I'm walking through this journey and this fire with you. And I always say leaders have an arm in forward and an arm in back, right? It's that space to say, take the hand of those in front of you that want to help you rise up, and then reach back and lift those that want to come along. And if we focus on that, that's a whole different level of success.
Absolutely. I love it. And yeah, as because when we really look at what defining success is, very few people, there are people and I love them on their journey, but very few people use money as the measure of success. But there are those, and that's their journey. But as the people that have currently been on this um, podcast in this program, that's not their matrix of it. They're aware of it, and they're not ashamed and afraid to say that money equates to freedom. So money is not an evil tool or evil, but it just equates to freedom to allow them to do what it is that they love. So it's the reciprocal. They're using their money to buy to enhance their freedom.
Well, absolutely. I mean, money is a tool. It's just an energetic means of exchange, and it needs to have a reciprocal space that says what I put out, I'm receiving back. And a lot of people struggle to receive, and they're like, I only need this much, and they cap their. No, you need right now. We live in a world where money dominates the playing space to actually create impact and create influence and to do things. And so, the more money I bring in, money is never the metric. Money is simply a symptom of me being aligned in a space that says, if I am out doing the work that is calling through me and calling through the soul contract I signed up for in this life, then I know without a doubt that I will be supported in every way to be that at the level that I need to be. And I don't need to compare myself. I don't need to be, because here's the thing. If someone wants to pay for my house and it's not coming from money, I don't care. I know the lifestyle I want. I know the freedom I want. Whether it's money or not that gives me that, could care less. I know the feeling, the outcome, the space that speaks to me, what I want to create in this world. And I know the level of impact I want to put out as my offering, my gift, my way of saying I showed up to play full out. So that money is, the more I can bring in, the more I can do. And I just am an open conduit to receive all of the abundance that's already my inheritance, that's already available for me. And it's no longer a game of focusing on money. Back in the day, I was a show me the money girl. And now I'm a show me the impact, show me the spaces where my voice is going to matter. Show me the platforms I get to activate something meaningful. When you asked me, I'm not been on a lot of shows lately. But when people say, Candy, I want your voice, I ask, is this a space that feels in integrity and alignment with where I get to show up? It was an easy yes for you. That's the metric of success. Am I surrounding myself by other thought leaders who believe the same? And together we get to create that little Care Bear stare.
I'm happy to be a Care Bear with you. So the darn unfortunate part is we are so close to being out of time. Is there something that you would love to leave our current viewers, our viewers and audience on replay or on audio? Is there something you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, I'll leave them with two things. One is you can go out to candybarone.com there, forward hashtag free gift, and it's free -gift. There is a book I created, an ebook that's the 13 strategies on how to destroy the noise. So it actually, everything I'm talking about, it gives you tools to quiet down the outside chatter, the external chatter, the stuff that's just getting in your way of you being aligned AF in who you are and living your most authentic truth. So I offer that because it is really a resource. There's even some printouts you can do. The other thing that I will leave you is my favorite saying. That is one I do at the end of every one of my talks. And it is, you don't know who, you don't know how, and you don't know to what level you can affect, impact, or influence change for another person. It's only when you choose to show up that you can activate that. And so my invitation or request from all of you is, will you choose to show up? That is the measure of success. Robert Frost said, to know that one life has breathed easier because I have lived is to have succeeded. And so that's our opportunity.
Beautiful. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to be part of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. So my honor. I love you. You know that.
I love you too. Take care.